This is Craig Shagin. Jan Ruman from the Banished Veterans asked me to do a short video explaining a situation that I personally find horrific. Why it is that we are, that is the United States, deporting veterans of our armed forces, many of whom have fought in our armed conflicts, some of whom have been injured physically, others psychologically. In my 28 years as a lawyer, this is the most shocking thing I have ever seen. And usually, when I discuss it with people, they can't believe it's true. But it is. The purpose of this video is to explain how it came to pass that this was done. First, you should know that aliens, immigrants, that is, people who were not citizens of the United States at birth, have always fought in our wars, starting with the American Revolution right up to today. What many people don't know is that immigrants, that is, lawful permanent residents, or what is commonly known as green card holders, are subject to the draft right from the beginning. The first Enrollment Act was signed by Abraham Lincoln, and that Enrollment Act included all lawful immigrants intending to be citizens. And indeed, if they did not subject themselves to the draft, then, as now, these individuals would lose their lawful permanent resident status and could be deported from the United States. Until recently, in fact, until 1996, there's not a single case that I could find of an alien who served in the United States military subsequently being deported for any reason. Indeed, in extreme cases where some aliens were put into deportation, courts went out of their way to make sure that these individuals were protected and not subjected to deportation. However, in 1996, Congress changed the law. They enacted a very draconian measure which deports aliens, or subjects aliens to removal for a whole host of criminal conduct for the most part, as well as poverty. The criminal conduct includes certain categories known as aggravated felonies. Aggravated felonies, you should be aware, are not necessarily serious crimes. It's aggravated felonies as defined under the Immigration and Nationality Act, which include over 24 classes of crimes. And those classes of crimes could range from things such as theft offenses, crimes of violence, which could include domestic violence, it could include threats of violence, and most particularly for what I'm about to discuss, drug-related crimes, particularly drug trafficking-related offenses. This could include marijuana above 30 grams. It can also include any of the other Schedule II offenses at any level of measurement. Now, the problem, or what changed in 1996, is when Congress enacted this law, they did so in a manner that would preclude any relief of any kind whatsoever for these individuals unless they were to be tortured or harmed in their country where they would be deported to, and even in those cases the relief is very restricted. As a result, those veterans who were subsequently arrested for criminal conduct found themselves, after their criminal charges were done, being placed in immigration proceedings where there is no relief and they can be deported. Whether they've gotten the Purple Heart, whether they're missing a leg, whether they've served with incredible honor and valor during war, it makes not a single difference to their fate. Now, there are a couple of points that I really want to emphasize here. One, immigrants, these are lawful permanent residents. They're not illegal aliens. They're not illegally present here. They were lawfully present here. They could have been present here from the time that they were 6 months old, or for that matter, 1 day old. As long as they weren't born here, they would not be a citizen unless, for some other reason, they would naturalize. These individuals are subject to removal, and it never gets corrected if they've committed an aggravated felony, for they could never apply for citizenship. So, the very first case that I had involved a man who was quite clearly an alcoholic, and he had other drug-related problems. Well, where did he get these drug-related problems and alcohol addiction? He got it either during or immediately after his service in Vietnam. Now, he came to the United States when he was 4 years old. He grew up here. He graduated high school here. He actually volunteered for Vietnam. He didn't have to wait for the draft to select him. And served two terms there, and was released under honorable circumstances because of a medical discharge during his service. None of that made an iota of difference when it came to his removal proceedings. The idea that we can have people who give so much of their lives, whether their physical lives or their mental lives or just their willingness to do it, come home to a country that says that they are going to keep their solemn pledge to veterans, and then find them deported, is really more than can be borne in silence. And this is happening. I wrote an article